So as a journalist, I went down to try and film some footage of the events down at the Mercer checkpoint. So I walked from Island Block Road along the motorway to Oram Road. So I was on the safe barrier side of the motorway walking down, because there's nowhere to park up there. The only access is to go up along the side of the motorway to get up there to start filming. So I get up there and I approach the duty sergeant. Then they've got a van that's blocking off Oram Road. So I approach the duty sergeant. I say, "Hey, look, I'm with the media. Can I please speak to the media liaison person?" And he says, "No, he's not here. You need to go on the other side into Mercer. They're over there, all the commanders." And then I started to ask him, "Well, where's all the Hikoi people? Whereabouts are they?" And he says they are trespassing, and they are further down Oram Road, and they're on an area that he claimed was belonged to Game and Fishing, and they were trespassing. And so he asked me how I got there, and I says, "Oh, well, look, I just walked alongside of the motorway so that I could get up here." And he goes, "Well, where's your car?" And I says, "Well, it's down Island Block Road in Menemedi." And so he advised me that I had been trespassing because I had walked down the side of the motorway on that side of the barrier. Now, I know absolutely that the farmer that owns that land doesn't own the land right up to the barrier. Part of the safe side of the barrier is public property. So also the police sergeant, he advised me where I was standing on the corner behind the barrier, I was also standing on private land. I was standing right next to the barrier. And then he says, "Well, you need to go back to where you come from." So I walked back to the corner. I started filming the situation. I was filming where the protesters were in Oram Road. And then what happened is two constables approached me, and they proceeded to advise me, asked me for my ID, which I willingly gave. I told them my address. And so what happened was they told me that because where I was standing on Oram Road, that is actually private land. And it's not. It's right next to the barrier. I was standing on public land. It isn't. The farmer's property doesn't go right up to the road barrier. So what's happening down there is the police are starting to invent what's private land and what's public land. And really what they're doing is they're breaking the law to enforce the law. It's entirely inappropriate and unacceptable, the behaviour of the police that are down there at Mercer checkpoint. They've begun bullying journalists and intimidating people by threatening to arrest them who are journalists. I mean, the police should really hold their head in shame. In a global crisis like this, more than ever, it is important that we have freedom of the press and not police officers warning people of the media that they're standing on private property when they're actually standing on public property, and they're just trying to get a media story. That's simple. I did ask for the media liaison person, so they had every opportunity to get someone to come down and see me. And so the police really should hold their head in shame. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree entirely with the hikoi of truth. I don't. I think that they could have celebrated He Whakaputanga Day back in their own uruhi and their own whare with their own whānau, and they would have enjoyed it much more than trying to break the wishes of the Taitokoro Border Control. And I take my hat off to the Taitokoro Border Control, because some of those hard-working people up there, they're just trying to protect their whenua. They're just trying to protect their people. And so, yeah, no, I take my hat off to them for the hard work that they're putting into it. And the protesters should have actually just observed their wishes, that they didn't want them in the Taitokoro, and things would have been fine. So a new protest has begun on the entrance to Meremere Island Block Road with supporters who are trying to support the other Hikoi protesters that are trapped down Oram Road. And so they're trying to get supplies into them. So the police have made a tragic mistake, because what's going to happen now is even more people are going to come in and support those protesters that they've trapped. And then they'll start to overwhelm the situation. So I would recommend that the police just stop being so militant, allow the protesters to do what they've got to do, be protesters, stop them from going over the border, and just start to be a bit more tolerant, especially of journalists. How?